being efficient is quite obvious in kettlebell sport, is it not? At this point, I really don't need to continue harping on that particular point, but I'm going to. Now, I was already going to do a similar video, but I decided to expand upon it a little bit here because my friend Matt, as you'll see here, he contacted me the other day and asked,
so if you have time before the New Year's, I'd love to bribe you with beer for a possible workout session. I need to get much quicker on my second dip. I was comparing my set where I was watching Andrea and I lift beside each other, and she is so much faster and so much more explosive, and it's why she can do so much more weight, so I gotta get there. So yeah, let me know if you have time.
So like he said, he competed last weekend and looked back at his video and noted that.
So I'm just feeling when I'm going through the first and second dip, I'm just really sluggish. I'm just moving slow, I'm down. I don't feel that explosive pop. I mean, I thought I felt okay, but then I was lifting beside relay partner Andrea, and I'm watching her, and she's just so much quicker, so much cleaner. It's down, up, bells, locked, down so much faster than me.
Yeah.
And I'm just wasting a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And I just need to get that, especially when I'm gonna be moving up to heavier weights. Like, I'm doing these lowers, I'm probably muscling it. Just to be honest, I'm probably just.
Yeah, exactly. Using relatively more upper body versus lower body kind of stuff. So. All right, you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna go through this step by step and going through the first dip, drive, second dip, and recovery. First dip, when we go down, we wanna make sure that we, one, keep our elbows connected with our hips. That's gonna be very, very important. Now, with the first dip, we want to make sure also that we are going into some relative hip flexion. Oftentimes, people will essentially just dip down, and the only thing that's really moving, so to speak, are the knees. So the knees are jetting forward, and it's really the quads that are doing the entire amount of work there. What we really want to do is have a little bit of hip flexion happening, because when we get to the drive phase, we're going to want to really use our hips to our advantage. So the glute muscles, particularly the glute max in this particular case, is an extremely efficient muscle. It's relatively short. It's relatively short span essentially across the hips, and its main function is to extend the hip as well as externally rotate the hip, but regardless, it's going to help extend the hip, and it's really going to make sure that we have that explosive nature in there. So make sure your elbows are connected to your hips and making sure that we're getting into some relative hip flexion as we're doing this. Now, of course, there's going to be some knee flexion in there as well, of course. And the next thing is that we want to make sure that it's quick. We want to take advantage of the stretch shortening cycle. So very briefly put, once we briefly stretch a muscle, there's going to be some stored potential energy in there. So some of that elastic energy. So if we take advantage of it just right, there's going to be some of that rebound effect. So it's essentially free energy, if you can say it that way. It's free energy. Whatever, it's free. Whatever, just take it. Use advantage of it. I'm sure you've seen, like, basketball players whenever they want to dunk. The reason when they're trying to dunk, they do like a really quick motion, like try to explode. So part of that, they don't go down here and then jump up, because part of this whole process of going down and up quickly is that when you're doing that quick motion and exploding upwards, you're storing elastic energy going down here. So the quicker you can be with your first dip, the more stored up energy you'll have going back up. Okay. All right. So yeah, so that's another reason why with the first dip too, trying to be quicker with that too. So no one just like, so think about.
So like I might be thinking about it's the motion of like dip and then drive, but it's gotta be.
Yeah, exactly. So try to only go as low as you need to. Okay. And to be as explosive as you need to as well, because you really want to use this first portion to do like the majority of the work. So basically if I'm here and I want to just go down, I want to do like the smallest second dip I need, because if I'm a little bit, if I don't put enough energy to like bring it up, I'm gonna have to dip much further down in order to catch it. And you know, dipping down here and coming up is gonna, you know, after several reps is gonna add up to how tired you're gonna feel in that area. And you'll have to essentially muscle more of it with your upper body too. Yeah. So the best thing you can do is being as, you know, explosive as you can in that first
So it's
dip.
better to be shorter but more explosive than going deeper and getting that bigger drive. That might be the problem I'd be focusing on, thinking I just need to get too far into a squat to do that. Meanwhile, just, like that could be just enough to get up instead of...
That could be enough, yeah. Next up is the drive phase. Super, super important, this particular phase. The main thing that I want to try to emphasize is that when you're coming up here, is we're really using the glute muscles to do this. So you're really kind of squeezing, like pulsing like crazy. So, you know, imagine like, you know, Terry Crews when he's like pulsing his glutes and like doing like the butt dance and everything. Like that's what you want to do, is actually pulse that. When you're doing that pulse, kind of think about it as if you have like a peanut stuck between your cheeks and you're trying to make some peanut butter and just
crunch it.
Just kind of crunch it.
Thank you, Jason Glass, for that cue.
Literally just kind of practice pulsing your bum. Like, so just put your hand on your bum, like the sides here, and literally just pulse.
It's better not to be in the video.
Well, might be a little bit.
Having that pulse is really going to help that explosive nature of this particular exercise. If you still have some trouble imagining this, think about dry humping the ceiling. Imagine you're about to dry hump the ceiling. That's all I'm gonna say. Trust me, just
dry hump the ceiling.
Hope that makes in the video.
So, I mean, think about it that way, as if you're trying to dry hump the ceiling almost.
Okay.
The ceiling, not forward this way, because I don't want the belts to kind of go that way. It's trying, because everything is trying to go up. So as if you're trying to dry hump the ceiling.
Okay.
So think about that and try another quick set. Alright, damn. I didn't know you felt that way about my ceiling.
You know what? It's a nice ceiling. That's a sexy ceiling up there. That felt really easy.
Yeah, because your second dips were like super shallow at that point.
I almost felt like I was muscling up.
Yeah.
My arms aren't fatigued in any way, shape, or form. Like I thought I was getting pretty good.
Yeah.
Propulsion up.
So.
Okay.
Dry hump the ceiling.
Dry hump the ceiling. That's the new Team Riddle Stroke model.
Now, there's different ways that we can train this particular movement in particular. So what we can do even are some heavy swings.
You know, not GS style or anything, like hard style.
No,
like
it's
Russian swings. Exactly.
I get it up between here and here.
Exactly.
At the top of the swing, really make sure that we are squeezing the kettlebell handle, pulsing at your abdomen, pulsing at your glutes as well. And that'll really help to train that explosive nature of the glutes. Doing a standing hop is another great exercise in order to train that explosiveness.
Think about just trying to like
just focus on like the second I start the movement, like as quick as possible from like stand
from here
to up.
Yeah. So, or you can just do like a kind of like a counter movement jump, just to kind of get your arms involved as well. That's not as important. Like you can just kind of have your arms out to the side here, or like just on your hips, and just.
Okay.
So give that a try.
Simple.
Don't make a hole in my ceiling.
I'll jump up. Go as quick as possible, right?
As quick as possible, as high as possible. So literally try to headbutt my ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, just like to kind of dem this to just kind of, you know, ground this in. So do that. That's one more. Go into like a half squat. Hold it, and now try to jump up. Okay. All right. Now just try to like which one felt easier? Like which one felt that you got more height?
The second one.
Yeah,
because I loaded.
Exactly, you're storing that elastic energy to explode upwards. So one of the reasons why being quick in that first dip to go into the drive, being quick and efficient there is going to be really important.
Okay.
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 And when you're doing this, you're really, squeezing the quads, but really thinking about squeezing the glutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, totally. Last but not least, you can train this in the kettlebell bump. That's essentially the main focus of this particular exercise, is to train that explosiveness from that drive phase. So get some heavier kettlebells than you would normally jerk and try a few sets. Next, the second dip. Now when we're in the second dip can be a little bit difficult for some people because it involves a lot of skill with our nervous system. And when I say skill with the nervous system, what I mean is that we have to make sure that we can turn off the muscle after we've just turned the dial to 100. So it's a quick on-off that we have to do with this particular set of muscles. Think about Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch. So Bruce Lee, when they're punching, it's not you're punching just through something, it's like a quick, push through. It's a snap. It's like cracking a whip. It's whoosh. There we go. That's how a whip sounds like. It's whoosh or whoop-ah. Friends, remember Chandler? Whoop-ah! 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 So it's kind of like a whip motion, exactly. So think about like it's on off. So on off.
Okay, so like the idea, I gotta make this like way more like
snappy.
Pop.
Snappy,
instead of just like power. It's
exactly.
gotta be quick pack.
Quick, yeah.
Okay.
Learn how to train that on-off motion. Going to be really important. So one of the first things we can do to kind of start learning that process is shadowboxing. Other things that you can do to just kind of train that motion here is literally, shadowboxing essentially. So that's it right now. I'm gonna, so one more time, again. So we're not going to be starting off at a full max contraction with the glutes here. All we're doing is just a nice dip to avoid the strike. I'm nice, I'm not slapping you in the face right now.
I appreciate that.
As that gets a little bit easier, then we can add in some of the other aspects of this as well. This is where doing things like box jumps come into play. So with a box jump, what you have to do is be very explosive in order to propel yourself upwards, of course, but now you need to actually land on the box itself. Now, if you're using a particularly high box, you might notice that you're going to have to bring your feet much higher in order to land on the box in like kind of a squatting position. It's because you need to hop, so you're getting that motion in, but then you need to relax this right away in order to flex your hip up in order to get onto the box.
Right.
So that's kind of like what we have here. So when you're going down here and up, you need to relax immediately to recover and get in.
You've done all the work already, getting those bells. Once the bells are in motion, your legs are done. It's time to get underneath.
Exactly.
Okay.
Not that low, obviously, because you want to try to get, like, the bell should be like 90-95% of the way up. It's just that little bit of extra to get just right underneath.
Like to there, right?
Like, very, like as low as you can manage.
As high as I can manage.
Oh yes, sorry.
Okay.
You know what I mean, As high as you can manage.
I can probably manage down there.
Without it being a push press, essentially.
Yeah, you still want to get the arms, you want to get those elbows locked.
Locked in here, but you don't want to catch it here. You want to catch it like, relatively high up. Okay. So box jump is going to be like one of those good exercises for you to kind of train that explosive nature, but also that on-off kind of nature. So starting to work on box jumps will be a great tool for you. Start off really low, start with a 12-inch box, work up to 20, 24, 30, so on and so forth. You'll notice that as you do this, become easier and easier to be able to jump a lot higher, but really most importantly is going to help to train that on-off of those muscles. So kind of think about like as you're coming down. So that's like essentially what you're going to be doing when you're landing on the box, doing a box jump, is to land on it. So just getting used to doing that and just dipping down.
Right.
That'll help train that second dip and being quick with that second dip. And when we're putting all this together, you really want to make sure that it's the hips that are doing the vast majority of the work and propelling the kettlebells overhead. And so that you only need to dip down a little bit to catch the kettlebells to make it count as a jerk and not a push press. Once we are in that second dip, get out of the second dip as quickly as you can, because you don't want to sit in the second dip, pause, and then rise up into full lockout, because there's still some momentum happening with the kettlebells going overhead. So the second that you catch it in the second dip, go right away into standing up fully. That way you get your rep count that much quicker, and you can bring it back into the rack position that much quicker as well. Get a few more extra reps in, save a lot of energy. Quick recap. Rack position, make sure you're in the ideal position there. Make sure that you have a little bit of relative hip flexion. When you go down to the first dip, again, relatively more hip flexion. Dip down as far as you need to and make sure it's nice and quick. That leads into the drive phase. So when we have a nice quick first dip, we get that stored elastic energy so that we can help us propel into the drive phase and make sure that we are squeezing those glutes, that pulsing that glutes. Think about dry humping the ceiling. The cue worked for Matt, so you know what? Just try it out for yourself. It might work for you. Dry hump that ceiling so we get those kettlebells up the vast majority of the way, and then we work on the second dip. Second dip, again, should be very shallow. You shouldn't have to go very low down at all. Quick second dip and get into the fully locked out position very soon after that. Don't hang out in the second dip. So my name is Dr. Eric St-Onge. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Makes sense. You see what you're talking about.
I hope anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
No, that's it. Thank you. I owe you. No. I owe you much beer.
Okay, we have them on film too.
Yeah, much beer. Yes. That's okay. I pay my debts.